Hey, good morning, wherever you are. Manifestation Monday. I'm your mindful manifestation coach, Sarita, here with you every Monday to talk about all things manifestation, mindset, and healing. And today we'll be talking about embodiment. Embodiment is the most important aspect of manifestation, if not the part that really helps and supports you with your self-concept. So we'll get into that momentarily. Just a reminder, I do have an amazing special that's going on right now through Venus retrograde. Venus retrograde goes until April 12th, which I'm very much experiencing some things when it comes to our money and security. And so I just released a podcast episode last Monday about what house your Venus is in, so you can decipher what's going to be coming to the surface during this Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde, because that's happening right now. So you can DM me to get started with that right away. And again, that's good until the 1st, or excuse me, April 1st, April 12th, sorry. I'm going to go ahead and accept my guest in, and we'll get started. Hannah. Let's see where she at. Let's see. Hopefully I got her in here. There we are. Hi, Hannah.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. So nice to connect with you, and I appreciate you being here, and going to be exciting to share this platform with each other. So,
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited. I love
of
talking about
course.
these things and connecting with other like-minded people and having these good conversations. So,
Yay, good.
yeah.
Good, amazing. We'll have some people join. They usually hop on here in a couple minutes, but and people can catch this on the replay if you're catching this on I posted at the top of the hour. And so Hannah Jane, she's also very, like she was saying, very similar work that I do, and so manifestation mentor. And so today we'll be talking about embodiment, which I truly believe is a missing piece when it comes to creating the life that we really want to live, and the manifestation process and all the things. So regardless of like who you are, what you're doing, embodiment piece is definitely an important factor to the equation. And we'll get into all of that in a moment, but would love to hear from you, Hannah, because I always like to know, and it's usually a very broad question, but just in a little nutshell, like what brought you to today, like helping people and supporting people with this, with the same type of work. And like, what are some key factors like in your life that have played a part in orchestrating the present moment now?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I got into sharing this work with others because of the things I had begun to lead myself through. And it started for me like probably almost 12 years ago. I had a friend have me watch The Secret. So I think a lot of people who know about
Yeah.
manifestation are aware of that.
Mhm.
And it didn't really fully land for me at the time. It's funny, like that year of my life, actually a lot of like messages were trying to come through for me. Someone had recommended me the book, The Four Agreements. There was another
Love
personal
that book.
development book that someone else had recommended to me. Then I had another friend have me watch The Secret. So it was kind of like all these little seeds were being planted in my mind of, oh, hey, more is available to you. At the time, I was in my early 20s, and I had been going through a string of just kind of like rough relationships and situationships. And one day I was talking to my friends, I was just venting, and it was like I kind of got out of my body and heard myself from another perspective. And I thought, oh my gosh, girl, you're just saying the same thing over and over. It's kind of like different person or same person, different face, if you've
Mhm.
heard that. And then it
Mhm.
clicked in my mind. It was like, whoa, I'm the common denominator. And so I started reading personal development books. And that's when I started really taking radical responsibility for my life. I started seeing all the ways I was playing victim, all the ways like I was viewing myself and showing up to my life, essentially embodiment, right? That was creating results I didn't want. And as I dove into this, it became apparent that it wasn't just in relationships, it was in my finances, it was in my health, my body, all of the different things, my confidence level, how I connected with others, not just romantic relationships. So, yeah, it started me on this journey, and it's led me through a lot. It's led me through the mindset, it's led me through the manifestation, it's led me through the healing. And yeah, and I just think like the way I teach it, and I think from what I've watched of your content too, we're very aligned with that. Is I don't teach it just through one lens. And I see a lot of
Mm.
people, you can get like the law of assumption community, the law of attraction community, the spiritual woo-woo community. And for me, I like to teach it through all the things because that's how my journey's been. I've gone through different
Yeah,
phases and now I feel like I'm in a place where I really incorporate and embody all of that work because I think in order to really create a life that we love, it needs to encompass all the different parts of us. We can't be neglecting our soul, we can't be neglecting our mind, we can't be
yeah.
neglecting our human, our body, our hearts, all of that. It all works together. So, yeah.
Ooh, yeah, very, very similar. So I love that you shared that. My journey very much. Isn't it a crazy defining moment when you're just like, oh, wow, okay, I've been here before. I've experienced a situation. Like, this seems familiar. Like, what's
Yeah.
going on, you know? Having those epiphany moments and realizing quite literally, like, I had been told, like, you're the creator of your own reality, you're right. And it's like, when it actually lands and when it actually like you have that epiphany moment and it settles in the body like it never has before and you're like, oh, I get it now, like, okay.
I'm
Like,
the problem.
I'm right, as you
And
said,
the
I'm the
solution.
common denominator, right? And the
Yeah.
solution. And realizing the phrase, the Albert Einstein phrase, the definition of insanity is just keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And that really sums up a good portion of my life as well. And it sounds very similar, where it's like you're just kind of like not aware of your own power and sovereignty. And then when you do, it's like, wow, I can actually construct and create very intentionally. Whereas before, I didn't have the intention. Like, I thought it was just like, oh, I go after something, I do the thing, and, life just happens and I get it or not, just kind of like it's all up in the air, like, who knows, kind of
Yeah.
thing. So the more depth I have encountered in my own practices in my own life, like, I realize those very similar things that you're sharing. So I absolutely love that. I very resonate with your
Yeah.
story. I love that. Okay, so there's so much to talk about. Oh my goodness. And I do want to just comment real quick that I appreciate that you are bringing to the table different perspectives all in one. And I think that's the beauty that we forget as humans. And I remind people of this, is that we are multi-dimensional beings
Hmm.
to begin with. Like,
Yeah.
we're multi-layered. We have so many different interests. I know when I started my entrepreneurial journey, I was like, well, I can't talk about that because that doesn't have to do with like my business. But I'm like, but that has to do with me. And I'm the common
You're the business.
denominator, right? I
Yeah.
am the common denominator of everything. So just how things uniquely come together in one individual person, like, I love that you shared that. So I just wanted to highlight that for anybody that is hearing this or seeing this and being like, scatterbrain all over the place. Like, no, it's, everything's beautifully woven together in this intricate, beautiful manifestation of you. So love it. Okay, so embodiment. All right. I feel like that is a overused word, and I love the word a lot. However, when people come into manifestation or come into healing work or come into the more spiritual spaces, they hear this word embodiment, and it is become a very like
It's a
um,
buzzword now.
a buzzword. There you
Yeah.
go.
A
Yes, it's
lot of
such a
people are using it.
buzzword. People
Yeah.
use it, and I um I sometimes I sometimes use it and sometimes I try to find different ways to like kind of explain it.
Hmm.
So for those people that are just kind of like, I've heard this word so many times, can you just in your own words and your own personal experience, what does that word mean to you in regards to the things we'll be talking about?
Yeah, I love that because there are so many buzzwords. And I think like even with TikTok over the last couple years, like manifestation is such a thing now. And I love that the info is getting out there but a lot of it's getting kind of watered down. And I think people
Totally.
are getting frustrated. Like they've bought into these like quick fix things and they're like,
Yes.
oh, like it
I
didn't
got
work for me.
I
This is not,
got beef with that
I
girl. Like,
know.
don't get me started.
And like, and I'm so for quantum leaps and I'm so for like things
Yeah.
can shift really quickly, but it's after you get your energy right. And something you had said, you used the word intentional earlier. And for me, that's such a key piece of embodiment because it really does come down to a decision. Who am I desiring to be? How do I want to experience life? How do I want to show up to my life? How do I want to feel about myself? What do I want to believe is possible? Right? So we get really clear on who we want to be. And then we work on being that person. And I think that, and that's in the little moments too. It's not just these big things. I think so often we think we have a goal and we think it's going to be this big grand gesture, this big leap of faith, which sometimes it is. Sometimes we're called to let go of things. Sometimes we're called to step into something that we don't feel ready for. But so much of what I believe is overlooked is those tiny little micro shifts, those moments by moment things like, am I holding my breath or am I breathing deeply? Am I tense? Am I tight? Am I walking around thinking negative thoughts about other people? Am I pointing out everything that's wrong instead of everything that's right?
Mhm.
Am I feeling good about me? Am I taking care of me? Like, and all of these things can be traced back to, you know, your identity, the version of you you've chosen to be. And I think there's lots of layers to this, right? There's definitely the mindset component, and I'd love to hear like your thoughts on this as stuff's coming up. You know, there's the mindset, right? Of like, okay, my ideal version, how does he or she think about themselves? How do they think about others? When faced with a challenge, what do they make that mean? Do they
Mhm.
make it mean, oh, I chose wrong, I should revert back to playing small because this isn't safe? Or is it say, oh, okay, these are my limiting beliefs surfacing. This is the old me, and I'm going to approach it with my new mindset, right?
Yeah.
Has to do with like in those moments when you want to self sabotage and like not go to the gym or not do the thing you know you really want to do because the healthy, happy version of you does that, like making those decisions from your next level self. It's like
Mhm.
noticing all the ways we kind of want to go back to the old familiar way. Does this make sense?
Totally.
It
Totally.
and like so much
Yeah.
of it then too is like the emotional piece too. Like I think this is important to mention too. So like that version of you knows they trust, they're connected with their soul, right? So when
Yeah.
things look like they're not happening, do they spiral or do they breathe through it and connect and go within instead of like
Yeah.
looking for physical evidence? You know, I think there's just so many layers to it.
Yeah.
But essentially it's like who you be, who are you being, what role are you playing, but not
Yeah.
just like while you're doing your manifestation techniques in the morning for 20 minutes. It's like all throughout your day when you're in front of people, when you're alone, who are you being?
Yeah. I truly agree with that. And that makes a lot of sense. Yes. And so I'm just thinking about like a moment that I had not too long ago where I've done that, where I've said, okay, this is the version of Sarita that I desire to be, right? Like, what does she breathe like? What does she act like? How does she navigate the world? Like, how does she interact with people? All the things. And at the same time, simultaneous being the really how do I say it? Like the silent, like non-judgmental observer of like
Mm,
the thoughts and who you
mm,
are and who you're being. And it's really interesting because I had an experience just recently where I did start to fall back into like I had something come in. It's interesting how universal energies will like check in and be like, okay, bring this thing, circling back this thing
yeah.
that you said that you're like, work through or you've moved on from or whatever. And it just kind of a revisiting and just kind of assessing like where you are. My friend calls it like a temperature gauge just to see like, okay, like your barometer, where's that barometer at, right? And I was like kind of going down this little like dark hole of different things, and I had to pull myself from there. And I'm like, wait a minute, the Sarita version that's like desiring this A, B, and C results doesn't go there,
Mm-hmm.
right? She doesn't like she's not projecting or trying to receive validation or completeness from this external thing and all the things, and then at the same time silently observing, okay, what's this gap here, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
what's happening where yes, I am embodying and becoming this version of me that I truly desire, right? And yet this is just a manifestation of like where I get to close the gap,
Yeah.
and find out like what's there underneath the surface that still needs to be
Mm-hmm.
addressed and taken care of and moved through, that and I feel like there's not so many people that talk about this. It's just like
Mm-mm.
this
I love
quantum
this.
jumping,
Yeah.
right? This quantum jumping, just become, make sure, embody. Self-concept's a really big thing
Yeah.
on
And I
TikTok
teach
for
that.
sure.
I teach
Yeah.
that too, but like I love how you talk about closing the gap. Like this is great. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I had that experience, and so it's like, okay, noted here where I get to move through these things. So then, as somebody that loves self-concept and embodiment work, for that person that is, or we're kind of jumping like here, we're going
Yeah.
from like stage one, stage two,
Yeah.
stage three, but just because this is what's coming to mind right now,
Mm-hmm.
for somebody that's like, okay, like I get the self concept work and I'm becoming the version that makes a lot of sense. And I'm like doing the scripting or whatever practices that they're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Affirmations, looking in the mirror. And then I have these moments where I'm just like feeling like I'm reeling back into like old self and old version, and the judgment's coming up and all these things. And it's notifying, like, for that person going through that stage right there, what are some thoughts that you have in regards to like supporting them in that area, like I'm just saying, like closing that gap and finding that there's some stuff that's coming forth.
Yeah, I love this because you're right. This is a very overlooked sector and like or like part of the piece of the puzzle, like piece of the puzzle. And actually, I feel like a lot of the women I work with are in this. Like they know what they want.
Yeah,
Like, sure, we're gonna help you like work through stuff and like identify more and dream bigger. But like, I feel like this is the part where people get stuck. Like they're doing all the things and then they're like, I'm swinging like a pendulum
yeah,
between like the old me and the new me.
yeah,
And there's like this moment, there are these moments of like great clarity and these moments of like deep confusion and overwhelm. And like, it's that feeling. The first thing I tell everyone and the first thing I tell myself, because I experience this too, I think we all do, is hey, this is normal, okay?
yeah,
You're infinite, but you're also having a human
yeah.
experience. And you're essentially
Mm-hmm.
letting this old version of you fall away. And there's like a part of your human in your psyche that feels like you're dying. And so you're
Yeah,
kind of going into
totally.
survival mode. And
Mm-hmm.
this is where I like to do what I would call shadow work. So kind of like a shamanic type of work, where we're doing soul reclamation. We're like reclaiming those parts of ourselves. So this is where I like to really slow down. One reminds myself like this is okay. This is totally normal. You know, in our brain, our logical brain, these two don't go together. Yet my soul sees the whole picture, the whole of me. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like you want to slow down, you want to calm your nervous system. So whatever techniques you have for that, that could be something simple like some self-talk, like everything's working out for me. I'm right where I need to be. The
Yeah.
clarity is going to come. This is just going to move me forward. This is just part of the process. It could be taking a nap. It could be going for a walk. It could whatever you need to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doing a little meditation session. Just calm down, get present, slow
Yeah.
down. Remind yourself that you're right where you need to be. This is totally normal, and then listen to those parts of you, because when this is happening, all that I found is actually going on is there's different parts of you that are afraid that you're going to neglect them, right? There's the part of you that wants stability and security. There's the part of you that wants love and acceptance and validation. There's the part of you that just wants to be safe. There's the part of you that wants to be free. There's the part of you that wants mega success, but then is like afraid of it. And how does this look? Like it's just these different parts of you not seeing how it all fits.
Yeah.
So your job in this moment isn't necessarily to try to figure out how it all fits. Just listen to these fears coming up, and you don't talk to them in a mean way, like, oh no, like that part of me is dead. It's like, how do we love them? How do
Yeah.
we like nourish them, listen to them, and still be like, and we're still moving to this next phase of our life. We're
Yeah.
still, it's like, and I'm ready to experience something new.
Yeah.
It's usually just like the fears, the limiting beliefs coming up. That's all it is. It's like it doesn't feel
Totally.
safe because your brain wants to feel safe, and safe to your brain means the same. Even if it's very
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable, even if it's something you very much do not prefer, your brain just wants to keep you the same. But the flow of
Yeah.
life is expansion and growth. You're here, I believe, to expand into all that you are. So we're always going to be growing. You're like, when you're in those moments, you're just up against your limit. You're just up against your edge. How do you
Yeah.
lean into it?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. It totally makes sense. And I, I'm just thinking of like that's just so powerful because it's we can get in this place of self-judgment and then
Hmm.
also having this human experience and the humanness of us is desiring to hold on to
Yeah.
things. Like we just it's just innate. I just the more people I work with, the more I live life. I'm just like surrender. And I'm going through a women's circle right now. I'm part of a women's circle, and our theme for this month in Pisces season is
I
surrender
love.
and just getting more, having a more, a relationship with surrender. And I realized one of my perceptions of surrender is this my vision of like seeing people prostrating and just almost like succumbing to things. And I'm like, wow, that's so crazy. Like I didn't really think about surrender as being something where it's like, oh, like I just fucking finally give up, like I don't, and so that's my underneath subconscious beliefs around surrender. I can talk about surrender and be like, yes, it's a great thing, let go, let, all the things.
Mm,
But like my subconscious like understanding about surrender is definitely like something that I get to reevaluate
yeah.
again. And so I realized I was like, we just have this innate humanness that is ingrained in us that we just want to hold on to things. And that goes to show, just like you said, our subconscious is literally there to keep us safe. It's there to protect us and keep us safe. It doesn't worry about anything else. That's what it does. Keeps us alive, keeps us breathing. And so it's only natural for us to like have a little challenging time letting go of like shedding the skin, right? And it's a breakup. Like I forget
It is.
that oftentimes that we don't talk about this, where it's like where you're in that between stage, and like you said, you have women coming to you, and that's like the area that they need the most
Hmm.
support in.
Yeah.
And I found that as well, where it's like very clarity of like, yes, I know what I want, the vision, the day in the life of, and because when I do exercises with them, it's like real simple, right? Just
Yeah.
to throw out all the things and to script like this is what I want my life to look like and become that version. And yet this like kind of this I would almost want to say like gray area where it's like you're navigating, kind of pulling, if there's like, holding on to Sarita version and old Sarita version, just kind of like going between and figuring things out. So I really love your recommendations about really coming back to the body and centering and like
Mm,
the focusing on yourself and the acknowledgement of the self and acknowledgement of like the non-judgmental
yeah.
portion and doing like the real deep self-love practices and acknowledging that it's like also it's a phase, right? It's not going to be the
Yeah.
forever place. And that's I think oftentimes we get really stuck in that. I know I have, especially when times get very difficult, like it's
Mhm.
um hard to like see things getting better because it's just like so we're so ingrained in it at the
Yeah.
moment. Yeah.
It's hard to like zoom out in those moments.
Yes.
I think a lot of it is about really building trust with yourself,
Mm.
right? And I
So
know for
true.
me, like a lot of self-discipline work for me was one of the greatest forms of self-love. It was like, you know what? I'm going to stop abandoning myself the second I get in a relationship. I'm going to stop abandoning myself in the pursuit of money. I'm going to stop abandoning myself in the pursuit of XYZ goal, right? And like learning to cultivate this understanding that nothing outside of this is permanent. It's
Yeah.
always moving, it's always changing. And seeking comfort in those outside things, letting that be your sense of identity, your sense of self, your sense of safety and security is always going to feel like you're desperately grasping. And that's just not the vibe that lets in more.
Yeah.
So when you kind of can learn to reverse that energy dynamic, and learn to understand that like your inner world, your connection with yourself, with your soul, with God, the universe, however you understand and connect, that that's where your safety and security comes from. And that yes, relationships, jobs, situations, housing, weight, body may come and go, but who
Hmm.
you are at a core soul level remains the same. And I
Hmm.
think like if you can extract anything from like law of assumption, it would be to really practice being in that I am, that knowing state, that, being in your creative power, but also like kind of detaching a bit from the outside. Like, yes, we can have these goals and yes, we 100% can manifest them, but can you also hold space for maybe your soul has an even better plan. Maybe this thing can come to you in a different way. Maybe in order to create space for the thing you want, you need to do the hard work of letting go of something that you thought was going to be it. Like, and I'm sure you've experienced that. I've experienced that so many times along my journey. And it's like now when a big shift is coming up, I'm like, okay, my human dreads this. There's going to be tears shed. It feels
Yeah.
scary, but like I know it's leading me to something great. I know it's just like my soul leading me to my next evolution. It's like what I'm here to experience.
Yeah.
I think detachment's really key. I think like sometimes manifestation is taught really through the lens of being super attached to like certain outcomes. And I'm not saying that you cannot be specific. Definitely we can, but you want to always remember inside first because that's your unshakable foundation. And you
Yeah.
can refer to that as self-concept. You can refer to that as faith. You can, whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah.
The relationship with self, that was a big epiphany that I had about 3 years ago
Mm,
as I was realizing, wow, I was like, dang, man, this like self-love and self having the a relationship with self is just key to the manifestation, like the
right.
process. And I had a deep reflective day yesterday. I've been very exhausted. There's just a lot. I'm very much into astrology. There's just a lot planetary going on right
Mm-hmm.
now
This is for
with
sure.
with
Yeah.
both retrogrades happening. I'm in Aries, so both
Okay.
retrogrades are in Aries. I'm just like, yikes. And so yesterday I was just so tired and I was in some deep reflection and I was like, wow, you're just talking about how like no matter what's going on into all the different facets of your life, like it's just making sure that you have this very ingrained relationship with yourself. And my little epiphany that I had yesterday, so I'm alongside doing coaching and my podcast and all the things, I'm also a pet sitter, house sitter. And
Okay.
I realized that I was like, wow, so the last two pet sits that I've had are larger dogs that were very high energy and
Mm-hmm.
cute, 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 right? But just demanded a lot more of my attention and energy. And I'm the type of person that's just like, blah. With anything that I'm like taking care of or in caretaker role, I am just like all about it, right? Like I'm just, that's my thing and I love it. And I realized I was like, okay, noted, Sarita. When you do these like pet sits, right, with animals that are a lot more demanding, you get to really double down on your self-love and your self-care practices. And that doesn't mean for me specifically, I'm talking about me specifically, that doesn't mean just like cooking a nice meal for yourself and putting on a movie and cuddling with a pet. That is literally detaching yourself from the animal for as much time as you need to do journaling or, whatever it is, meditation, like something that is non-stimulating because I'm just getting so much stimulation from, that energy that it's just like detaching. And so I was like, this grand epiphany I had, I was like, okay, going forward, I get to be like more mindful in this. So that's just an example of like a real life
Yeah.
experience when it comes to like the self concept and the self like love and the self coming back to the self or the embodiment practices we're talking about.
Yeah, being very intentional with like energetic boundaries is what I would call it
Yeah,
because sometimes those boundaries have to be in your mind. How much mental energy are you spending like worrying about something? And I get it. Like I feel like for women specifically too, like we all mostly have like that nurturing thing or we just want to give and it's so easy to like lose ourselves in things and it's like okay I want to honor that part of me that wants to give to others and nurture others but how do I like make sure I'm balancing that with giving to myself and
yeah,
some weeks and months or phases of your life, you're going to require more of
yeah,
that than others. So it's not like one could need and really honor that is so
yeah.
important. Like really listening to yourself.
I love that. Yay! Amazing. There was so much juiciness in this episode. And Hannah, so thank you so much for joining me. And the replay will be up very shortly. So before we end, how can people get in touch with you? Do you have any offerings that you want to share? Please tell us all the juice.
Okay, yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been great. Love talking about
Yeah.
these things. My You can find me on Instagram, so I'll be tagged here on Instagram. I'm Hannah, HANNAH dot Jane 444. So JANE 444. I'm the same on TikTok, same on YouTube, and my link tree, I can send it to you, but my link tree is linktree Hannah dot Jane. So that's how you can find all the things or connect with me on Facebook. I do have a lot of offers. So I always have like a variety of different free offers. Right now, I have an intuition activation. It's like a 21-day meditation practice that I lead you through and journaling to really connect with your intuition. I have self-concept affirmation track that's free if anyone wants to get that. I have several free offers.
Love it.
Then I have self-concept guide. It's an ebook that I've written to really help you become aware of like your current paradigm and how to shift it. So I teach you really how to manifest through mastering your self-concept. I have self-paced programs. I offer one-on-one here and there. Like I only take a few clients one-on-one at a time, but yeah, those are the ways to work with me.
I love that. Thank you so much. I'll definitely grab one of the self-concept freebies because I love
Yeah.
anything resources that'll be supportive to me. So,
Yeah, awesome.
again, thank you so much, Hannah, for an amazing chat today. It's been an honor to hear you, and it was really amazing that we connected in another manifestation community. So
I
I
know, I
love
love
bringing
it.
people here to this platform and just being like, let's just talk manifestation. It's my jam. So, again, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you all next week. Bye.